Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Medium, the latest Xbox Series and PC exclusive. As always, if you like what you see and you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel more than you know. The Medium is the latest game made by the small Polish studio Blooper Team. Blooper Team is responsible for bringing us many niche titles such as the Lair of Fear series, Observer, and recently Blair Witch. Walking simulator, first-person horror games are the bread and butter of the company, which is why the Medium stands out in their portfolio. In terms of budget, scope, and design, the Medium is Blooper Team's most ambitious game to date. A third-person mystery game heavily inspired by the Silent Hill franchise, where you play as a medium named Marianne, trying to uncover what happened to the residents of the forsaken Niwa Resort. So, how is Blooper Team's latest outing? Well, gamers, let's find out. Almost immediately, gamers will notice parallels with this game and Silent Hill. The Medium isn't a game that's afraid to wear its inspiration on its sleeve for the world to see. For God's sakes, they even went as far as to get Akira Yamaoka, oh god, I hope I didn't mispronounce that, to compose this game, who, as we all know, is a part of the Silent Hill Dream Team, baby. That's right, one of the OG Silent Hill team. Much like James in Silent Hill 2, who gets a letter from his dead wife to meet him in Silent Hill, Marianne gets a call from a man named Thomas, who claims to have all the answers of her mysterious past. All she needs is to come to Niwa Resort to find them. Marianne is an interesting character who is plagued by consistent nightmares where she sees a little girl standing at a lake getting shot. She desperately tries to understand what this dream means. Through hints in the story and the character's own dialogue, players are shown that Marianne is different than everyone else and has been cursed with the ability to live in both the world of the living and the dead. She is burdened with the power to help spirits transition to whatever lies beyond this world. The game does a great job making you empathize with how difficult it must be to carry such a weight by having an emotional opening chapter where Marianne must help her father pass from this world to the next. From this point on, the game focuses entirely on finding Thomas and the mystery of the Niwa Resort massacre, an incident where many people were killed, leading to the closing of the resort. With all that out of the way, let's get into what I liked and didn't like about the game. Gameplay-wise, the game will tickle the nostalgia of anyone who enjoyed classic horror games in the 90s. The game uses a fixed camera angle, which isn't a technique that's used often these days. Now, I understand that some gamers might really hate this design, but I for one loved it. It brought back so many memories of me playing the original Silent Hill or Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1. You will spend some of your time existing in both worlds at the same time, and here's where I think the game truly shines. The world that the Blooper Team has built with this game is both haunting and magnificent. Heavily inspired by the Polish artist, oh god, I'm going to butcher this, Zdzisław Beginski. Oh god. If you're Polish and you're watching this, I apologize for my terrible Polish pronunciation. This is a dark world that is a contrast of our world, filled with decay, the voices of the dead, and barriers made of human skin. Thankfully, this mechanic isn't overdone to the point of exhaustion. It's sprinkled just enough times through the campaign where it's a pleasant surprise when it does happen, just so you can see the vast, awe-inspiring environments that the Blooper Team created. Seriously, they can make an entire game in this world and I wouldn't complain. Unfortunately for some, the gameplay consists of a lot of walking. I mean, if you're not a fan of games that revolve around world building through very little action, then I don't think this is the game that you would like. This is where I believe expectations for the game may have faltered. Many people expected the game to be a spiritual successor to Silent Hill, and to the creators' credit, they succeeded for the most part. Interesting characters, creepy world, fleshed out story, being exposed to the supernatural. However, there is no combat whatsoever. No monsters to fight may make the game feel boring for some, especially since many people are looking for something to scratch that Silent Hill itch. And with no monsters, there is no point where you feel endangered outside of the few chase scenes in the game where you're getting hunted by the mob. A creepy, slightly pervy sounding beast who constantly tells you he wants to get inside you. Yeah. Seriously, just listen to this thing for 2 seconds.
Let me try you on.
Oh God, no!
There's only a few chase scenes in this game is a positive thing to me. The thing about being chased by a monster is it can only be scary for so long. Eventually, it loses the momentum of your first encounter with the entity, which eventually turns each encounter into more of an annoyance than anything. There is about a handful of these events that break up the pacing of the game without overstaying its welcome. Through its 8 to 10 hour campaign, you are mostly exploring environments and solving puzzles. The puzzles here aren't incredibly difficult to solve, with some of them even being straight up solved by the main character herself. You may need to jump a power source, use an out-of-body experience, or control the flow of time. There were a few puzzles that had me scratching my head for a bit. However, there were enough clues provided to me to eventually solve these puzzles. Another way I think this game didn't meet people's expectations is it was advertised as a horror game. And in its own way, it's creepy, it's eerie, some parts make you uncomfortable, but it's not horror in the sense of, say, Resident Evil or Outlast or Dead Space. These games that rely on physical horror to intimidate you either through jump scares, monsters that might be hiding around the corner, having no health and trying to manage your ammo, things like that. And when it comes to the medium, there's none of these aspects that are going to scare you. It's more so of a psychological horror to make you feel this unease, creepiness, eerie feeling that something is just not right with this place. So, as said, when it comes to the gameplay aspect of things, a slow-paced game that's trying to focus on story isn't really a problem with me. I enjoy these type of games. I understand for some people they may not, but as said, the game focuses heavily on, walking, solving puzzles, and getting the story drip-fed to you. Now that we got the gameplay out of the way, let's take a look at the story. Now, there's not much I can say about the story without going into heavy spoilers, but what I can say is the story had me engaged from start to finish. The story is drip-fed to you through the environment around you, collectibles you find, and Marianne's inner dialogue. The mystery of Thomas in the resort as it unfolds is truly a spectacle. I recommend playing this game blind without reading too much into it with fear of being spoiled. To me, the story doesn't overstay its welcome. Games don't need to be 50 to 100 hours long in order to be worth your money. Sometimes you just want a solid 10-hour game that's compact and to the point. In today's day and age, I find developers are way too focused on padding their games with fluff in order to extend the playtime. The medium knows exactly what kind of game it wants to be and doesn't try to annoy you by being something else filled with 101 side quests. To some, the short story may bother them, but to me, I don't think game length equals game value. What I can say about the game is it covers some heavy themes that may need a trigger warning in today's day and age for certain individuals. Trauma is the name of the game here. At what point can we forgive people who have caused trauma to others due to trauma being afflicted among themselves? Can these people even be forgiven, or are they irredeemable? The game doesn't outright give you an answer to these questions. What I can say is how the game goes about showing this is genius in my opinion. Let me tell you, there are characters in this game where in most circumstances you would absolutely despise them. And for the most part, you kinda still do. However, when you go into the psyche of these characters and their backstory slowly unravels, I found myself feeling bad for some of these characters, especially when you see the innocent places they started. We all have inner demons that we wrestle with, and the medium holds a mirror to some of society's most vile ones and asks the players to question them. Overall, I think with going in with the expectations I did of the game, I really enjoyed my time with the medium and would recommend it to anyone looking for a great story. My best advice would be to temper your expectations and not to go in thinking you're about to play a new Silent Hill game. Remember, this was made by a much smaller AA studio with limited resources. In terms of the Blooper team's portfolio, I would say that this is the best game they've worked on to date. Interesting world, fascinating characters, thought-provoking themes, and an engaging story all make for a great game here. My only negative about the game would be the lack of combat and the lack of gameplay variation. If they ever decide to make a Medium 2, I don't think that they need to use guns, but some enemies to break up the pacing of the game would be much appreciated. You know, she does have supernatural powers as you see in the game, and I think the developers can find a way to, turn these powers into a form of combat to make the gameplay more engaging for people who are looking for more gameplay variety. I would absolutely love to see Medium 2 because I do believe the series has potential to be something special. It's available on Game Pass, so you don't have to worry about spending $60 on a game to find out that you don't like it. Unfortunately, I don't really like giving games scores because I believe when people see a number, they automatically rule out playing the game because of it. What I can say is if you know what kind of game you're getting yourself into, then I think this is a game that you're going to enjoy, and I highly recommend it. I really think this is a game that's worthy of your time. So tell me, gamers, what do you guys think of the Medium? Was this one of those games that made you run out and go buy an Xbox Series console or a PC? Have you played the Medium already? If so, what do you think? Do you disagree with anything I have to say? Do you agree with the things I had to say? As always, leave a comment down below. I try to read all of them. And if you enjoyed this video, as always, leave a like, subscribe, ring that little bell so you're always notified when I post. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Thanks for watching.